Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Industry Insider. My name is Carrie Wise. I'm a vice president at TrueCar, and I'm joined with my colleague, Matt Jones, who's a director at TrueCar. And we're so happy to be here for Industry Insider. Now, Industry Insider is where we get together every single week and talk to movers and shakers in the industry. And I'll let Matt give a little bit more background on Industry Insider.
Hi, everybody. First, thank you for spending the time with us this afternoon or this morning, depending upon where you are. Industry Insider is our outreach here at TrueCar, and it's a way to give back to the automotive landscape. Carrie's been in the automotive business for over 20 years. I've been in the automotive business for over the 20 years, and we both love it. And that's why we're so excited to use this platform to give some of the industry's best and brightest a true platform to share their magic with the rest of the automotive body. And that's what Insider dealer-to-dealer conversations is about. And today we have somebody on here who is especially special, particularly to me as a person who sold cars for a whole long time. I'm sorry, I'm just jumping ahead because I'm just so excited to say who we've got. Carrie, you want to say his name or do I get to?
Yeah, well, actually, before we introduce our guests, I know which everyone's awaiting for, I want to just encourage everyone to share this. So I'm going on here right now on the TrueCar Certified Dealer page, and make sure you share this. We want to make sure everybody catches this show today because there's going to be some gold in terms of tips and to make you successful in your sales career. So Matt, I think we're ready to introduce.
Today, we are bringing on Frank Granedy. He is one of the world's very best car salespeople. He's also a fantastic guy. I think a lot of you on the call are going to know who he is. But for those who don't, this gentleman sells over 100 cars per month. And I said that right. I said 100 cars per month. I didn't say his store. I didn't say his region. I said him. And on this show, he's going to share some of the tips and some of the techniques, plus talk about some of the other big things that are on the horizon as he tries to make other salespeople just as good as he is. So like I said earlier, I can't tell you how excited I am to have this superstar on the show. And so without any further ado, let's bring on Frank.
Frank.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Thanks for having me. Well, we really appreciate you being on. We talk to a lot of leaders at dealerships, and we've talked to vendors in the past. And I think you're a one-man show, and I know you have people supporting you and helping you, but some of the things you've done on your own are phenomenal. They're what entire stores are trying to do. And what I think is great is that you're not just keeping these secrets to yourself, because you could just be quiet and be successful at your store and be killing it. But you're taking your insights and sharing that in terms of your own training platforms. And so we definitely want to talk about that today. But thank you for your contribution to our industry.
My mom taught me at a very young age not to be selfish, right? So, if I see all this success and I'm at the top of the mountain all by myself, well, that's no fun to me. I want to bring everybody up, to the pinnacle with me. We want everybody to climb the mountain with us. So, that's what it's all about for me right now, to dominate, in car sales myself, like I keep doing. I got a goal to get to 200 cars a month by next year, and I got a plan to execute it. And then I also have a goal and a plan to train salespeople all over the country, and actually internationally. I have a couple that are outside the country that I'm training right now. Everything that I've learned over the 20 years, everything I've learned not to do and things to do. To be transparent with everybody and give a world-class, customer experience so that they come back and create raving fans, basically.
That's just fantastic. And I'm sorry for being so excited earlier because, sometimes as a person who sold cars myself and who had limited training when I first got introduced to the car business, I had some people who were some salespeople who were stellar, but they did what Carrie said. They kept that information to themselves.
Yeah.
So you're a Frank, and to meet a Frank who says, yeah, I'm great, but I'm willing to share that with the world, I think it's just super. It's fantastic. It really matters to me. But before we jump in, let's get a little bit of a background on yourself, on you. We all know that, the people on the call, we know that you're a sales superstar now, but tell us about your journey in automotive. So you've been in the business for 20 years, right? Tell us about your
20 glorious years at the world famous Piazza Honda of Springfield here. So, I've been blessed to have great ownership, great management with very progressive thinking that allowed me, right, to earn the right to be able to, basically branch out on my own and create my own business inside of a business, right? And I think some salespeople get a little upset because, a dealership or, a management or an ownership won't let them do it at an early age or an early, in their career. Well, you haven't earned that yet. You know what I mean? You haven't earned that trust yet. So, it took me a while to be able to earn that trust and that respect, from my management, upper management, all the way through ownership, to be able to, grow my own business. Basically, some people say, man, why don't you have your own dealership? I say, well, guess what? I do, right? I mean, I treat this like my own dealership, except somebody else worries about all the inventory, pays all the overhead, supplies me with employees, takes care of all the tax liabilities. And I just get to do what I do and what I love to do every single day, right? I mean, it's never a truer statement that, when you're having fun doing something, right? When you truly enjoy what you do, it's not work. Like, I don't feel like I'm coming to work. You know what I mean? I actually feel like I'm coming to, I don't want to say hang out, because that kind of makes it seem like, you're not really doing your diligence, but, I get paid to hang out all day. I get paid to be me. I get paid to grow this business, to help and serve the community, is what it's really all about. So it excites me every single day, to keep doing what I'm doing.
Right. Frank, you brought up such a good point when you said that everybody asked you, why don't you own your own dealership? And I think it's important to me that you said that, because I think everyone thinks of entrepreneurship as you own everything, right? Like, I own everything. And that is the only key to success. And entrepreneurship looks different to different people. We all are going to bring something different to the table, and owning everything isn't necessarily everyone's path to success.
Right. Well, owning everything isn't always the financially smart move to always do. You know what I mean? So there has to be an understanding of business. There has to be an understanding of, what your goal is, what your passion, and more importantly, what your purpose is, right? My purpose right now is not to be an owner of a dealership. That's not my skill set, right? My skill set right now is growing my business and teaching and growing a community of salespeople, nationwide and internationally, to dominate their dealership, their area, their industry, their brand, the way that I've been doing for years now. So, like, that's my passion. Like, that's what fuels me every single day.
Yeah, no, and we all have to find our passion and just stick with what we're good at versus just trying to replicate, like, quote, success, like the recipe for success. I love that. So how many cars are you selling per month, per year? I want to dig into that, and we'll dig into how exactly you do this.
Not enough. That's always my answer. Not enough.
So. I gotta stop. That's how you know you got a TrueCar guy on the interview. Right. When he says not enough.
It's not enough. There's room for growth. There's room for improvement. My success is not about hitting the number. It's about the journey. Like, we used to get to this real big number. I sold 150 2 months ago, right? First time I cracked 100, it was like, okay, wow, that's great. But what really fueled me was the path, right? To actually get there, right? The actual getting there was the feeling of success. Once you get there, then it's like, okay, what's next? Well, if you're waiting to get there to figure out what's next, then you're stopping, right? I call that running to the finish line. How a racer, they pull up at the finish line. Well, I want to keep running through the finish line. That's how your success keeps growing. And then you don't have these peaks and these valleys of, man, I sold 150 this month. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk about month of 150. And this month I'm down 30%, right? Because you keep looking back. So, my brain, the way that I work is I just keep looking forward and pressing, right? I don't just rest on, I have it all figured out. Because once you think you have it all figured out, that's when somebody that's hungrier, younger, more skilled, more talented, more aggressive, that works harder than you comes up and whoops you. All right. And, that may happen one day, and I'll turn around and congratulate that person and then immediately start picking their brain about how they did it so that I can, figure out what that skill set is that I didn't have, to be able to get to that level.
That's just a fantastic number, these numbers that you're talking about. But I got to ask you, like, where do these customers come from? I know that, the goal.
So 90% of my business right now is all relationship and referral business. It's not taking new customers. New customers that walk onto the the lots or, new customers that come in through the internet or leads or something like that should be reserved for new salespeople to build their book of business, right? They need to be able to take that transaction. This is a lot of what I teach in my group. You need to be able to, there's this big, word out there right now that, transactional business. And nobody wants transactional business. Well, that's a lie, right? You need to get to that relationship. Well, how do you get to that relationship? You take that transaction, you build it into a relationship where you can actually multiply that sale, that one transaction, into multiple referral sources, repeat customers, get inside those customer circles of on social media, inside their networking groups, their community, what they do for a living, right? They work at a refinery, or they work at a local credit union. Like, you need to take that transaction as a younger salesperson and learn how to cultivate it into a relationship, right? So you don't have to live off of what the dealership is trying to give you. That's the only way that you can get to more than slightly above average, right? So, I get the salespeople, and they get to this, magic number of 30, and they just can't get past it, right? It's because they're so scared to get off of the dealership's, bottle of, leads or customers walking in the door. Well, they should be reserved for the salespeople who are building their book of business, that don't have a book of business yet. To me, after you're in the business for a few years, you need to be able to get off that to be able to grow your business. So, that's a lot of what I've done. That is what I've done. And then, that's just a lot of what I teach and try to mentor into the salespeople that I'm working with right now.
So as I hear you talk about relationship selling, you're really great at relationships. I remember even just meeting you. I feel like it was one of the conferences that we met at.
Grind down at.
Did I come up to you? I feel like I may have come up to you.
I don't know. I think we were both hugs and smiles.
Okay, there we go. But I just remember it was warm and it was friendly and it was so easy. And you have a gift for that from a relationship standpoint. And I often think about, as you're talking, there's somebody that's watching this that's like, hey, Frank, I'm not you. I'm not Michael Jordan. I don't have the jump shot like you. So thank you for telling me that I need to shoot like this, but I can't do what you do because you were born with these relationship skills that I just don't have. There's someone out there saying that right now. Like, what would be
you can still be the greatest version of yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be me. Right? You don't have to metamorphosize into the greatest version of what I am, right? And that's what I teach everybody. You need to just find the greatest version of yourself. So whatever it is that we need to cultivate out of you to make yourself, the greatest version of yourself, that's what you need to personify to the world, right? The reason that it was all like hugs and smiles and, and big embrace when we see each other is because we've already known each other through social media, right? We already had a trust factor built in. If you don't already know me or trust me through here, you're never going to know me, feel like you could trust me when we first meet, when we're here, right? So a lot of things that people miss is this is social media, right? Meaning you have to be social, right? It always cracks me up if I'm at a restaurant or something like that, and you see somebody that from Facebook, they comment on all your stuff, they're on your IG, right? But you see them and they shy off, they shy away, like they don't want to come talk to you. Me, I'm walking right over. Hey, Carrie, how are you? I've been wanting to meet you forever. I absolutely love you. I love everything you're doing. I love your smile. I love your personality, right? You need to be able to have social skills. And a lot of times we hide behind this, the avatar of Facebook that they let you put up. Well, the people that are going to be able to, grow like light speed are the people that can look somebody in the eye, have a conversation, still have social skills, even though they're developing on social media. You need to be able to take them into the real world, right? So, that's kind of probably why we felt comfortable with each other, right? We already kind of knew each other. We already trust each other. We already know how we sound, some of our demeanors, so that's what you need to be able to take and personify from social media into the real world.
So if I were a person just getting, I want to elevate my business, I'm using social, where do I start? Like, where's my beginning? Where do I start?
So if you drop, people say all the time, so if we dropped you off in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, what would you do? Could you do what you do? My answer every single time is you can drop me off on Mars. I will find a civilization that I can sell, that I can serve, that I can help with whatever product that they would need, right? And how would you do that? You utilize what's available to you. So if I was new to the community, right, instead of just going around and knocking on doors and shaking hands, which is still very important, right? That's why politicians, even to this day, still do that, right? Presidential race, I mean, mayoral race, they still go knock on doors. It's very important to show your face, right? My good friend, Ali Rita, said to us down at our Pinnacle Mastermind conference that really just stuck with me, right? You don't want to be known of, you need to be known, right? So people need to know who I am, right? They can't just know of me, that I'm this person on, social media, or this person that sells cars, or a person that's, does training. They need to know who I actually am. The way I do that is actually showing up at these events, is actually, basically knocking on doors, but going up at events and actually meeting people, talking, feeling, getting real interest in what they do, right? People don't always want to hear about me, right? I want to hear about them a little bit. But if you drop me off in the middle of Kansas, I get off on a tangent sometimes. You drop me off in the middle of Kansas, right? I would start with every single local Facebook community group. So, it says you log on to, all the local community groups that are around you, right? And it says, oh, you have to be a citizen of Media, Pennsylvania to join this group. So I just go in and put boom, boom, boom. I don't put I'm a citizen. I don't lie. But all these admins have egos. They all want more people in their group. So I put it in. I get in every single group that's around my house, around my dealership, around everywhere that I do business. And then I become part of that community. I don't just sit there and troll. I don't just sit there and kind of I go in and ask questions, right? If I'm going out to dinner, listen, I'm going out to Media, Pennsylvania tonight. I've already ate at Spazzo's and Fellini's. I'd like to try something else. Is there another good Italian restaurant that somebody recommends? I get like 300 comments. I go back in, I respond to those people. I don't just walk in there and say, hey, I'm Frank, I sell cars. Please come buy your next car with me. I have to establish myself as somebody in the community. How do I do that? Again, I become social in these groups. Then eventually you can't just go in and market in these groups, right? So you need to do some guerrilla marketing, which means you need other people to be able to kind of undercover market for you, right? So I find other people that are in that group that I sold cars to. It's real easy. I click the friends list, or the people are in there, and it shows me who I'm friends with in that group. I find out who I sold a car to, and I ask them, listen, I know, Kerry, you had a great experience here with me. We're in Media, Citizens of Media Facebook group with 70,000 people in there. If you don't mind just telling them about the great experience you had a week ago here, it really helped me out, and I really appreciate it. What's she going to say? Absolutely, man. I really appreciate everything you did for me. Boom, all of a sudden, I'm looking for a car. I'm looking for a car. You establish yourself as the industry, as the local community expert that wants to serve that community, is how you win with multiplication, right? I can only have 5,000 Facebook friends on my regular page, but I can get inside these groups of 70, 50, 100,000 people and basically infiltrate their community to become the person that, gets my name gets tagged in these groups literally 200 times a week about cars, questions, insurance. Frank, do you have a guy? We know you know everybody. Do you have a plumber? I'm like, yes, I do. Boom. I have a guy or a girl for everything. So that if somebody asks me for something, I make sure that I have somebody that I trust that I can refer to. This is how you would grow your business immediately if you're starting out as a new salesperson, or you want to grow your business as, you've been in the business 20 years. It doesn't matter. You could still grow your business, but that's one of the quickest ways that I would do it immediately. Like, start now, not wait and say that's a great idea. Let me write that down. And then you pick up the copybook 6 months later. Oh, you remember that guy with the pink tie said that I should have, right? Because that's what happens, right? You need to take immediate action on it. Start doing it now. While you're listening to this Facebook Live, do it now.
I love this, Frank, because everybody who's in cars, the people around them know that. Their brother, sister, neighbor, maybe their neighbors know, and you're already that resource for those people. But if you just think bigger and broader and more expansive, you're already that guy or that gal. Like, I'm thinking about some of my friends in my circle. Within my circle, this is the mortgage guy. Within my circle, I'm the car person guy. Within the circle, that's the workout person
Listen,
guy.
everybody wants to have a girl or a guy, right? Everybody wants to have that person. How powerful is it that if you could ask your accountant, like I have my accountant on text message, right? I have my lawyer on text message. I have my doctor, who's been my doctor since I was a baby, on text message, right? If I have access to my car sales or my insurance agent, everything that I have, like, that's huge. Why would I want to go anywhere else? I would never look for another account, right? Mike, listen, I have an issue. I have a problem. I have a question. Boom. He gets right. Not every time he's get right back to me, but most of the time he gets right back to me, right? Lawyer, listen, we're forming a company. I have a question about it. This LLC or this corporate. Boom. Yes. Here's what you want to do. Here's a doc you need. I'll send him right over. It's the same thing with a car person, right? You want to have that person that if you have a question about a tire pressure light, you have a question about maybe your insurance, you have a question about a friend that you want to refer to, you have a question about anything. I want to be your guy. I'm not here just to sell you a car and never see you again. My telephone number's in your phone. We're friends on Facebook. We're in the same community. I'm going to see you out at all these events. Anything you need, I got your back 100%. Make sure you call. Make sure you text me. I got you. So you need to establish yourself as that person, as the go-to person in the industry, in the community. And then you have to live it, right? You have to be able to deliver. You can't just talk the talk, right? And the reason that I can be as successful is because I deliver. Every single day I deliver.
You're getting so many comments, and I want to just encourage everyone, if you have questions, please ask them. Jay says, learning from Frank has been huge in creating my own success in my business. Hashtag Frank's fan. Carol says, boom, Frank Crinite is the real deal. Travis is asking, can we ask Q&A? Absolutely. So please write in your questions. I'll make sure to get them in and ask Frank. So you talked about, how you're tapping into these audiences, these groups, making sure you're involved in your community. I'm just curious about your day and what it looks like, because selling 150 cars in a month, selling 100 cars in a month, like what does any given day look like for you?
Some days are chaotic. I live for chaos. You can only be as successful as how much stress that you can handle in life, right? So, your tolerance of stress will determine your level of success. So to me, I just brush everything off. I mean, anything that, you can't find a key, you run to the back and the car's blocked in. Do you get frustrated and get all aggravated? No, you figure out a way to turn into a positive. You power through it. You get through it, right? So we make our days more chaotic than they actually are a lot of times by getting ourselves worked up over things that we could have just solved or changed our mindset on and, turned it into a positive. So I don't look as problems as a problem until, it's a big problem. But a lot of time it's an opportunity to solve a problem, which is going to turn into, more business for me. It's going to help my reputation. It's going to help me build my brand as somebody that can actually solve a problem. So to my days sometimes with, hey, I just bought a car yesterday. I didn't notice a nick in it. Hey, my battery died, my tire. Yes, but I handle them right away. And a lot of people I notice do is they kind of like to, I hope that person doesn't call me back. No, if there's a problem, I want that person to call me. You're like, are you nuts? You give your cell phone out to everybody? Everybody. If there's a problem, I need to know about it right away so I could be the person that makes sure that it's handled so it doesn't soil or ruin our relationship, right? So, that's what a good relationship, that's when it's really formed, right? When you're able to help somebody. So my day, does it look chaotic? I can deliver 5, 6, 7 cars in a day and it not be chaotic. Why? Because of my processes. I've refined my processes down to take out all the speed bumps, all the BS that you don't need every single day, right? For people that, have to sit at a dealership for 6 hours, I never understand this. I see people sit in a dealership, not my customers particularly, but they're there for 5 or 6 hours. Why? They said, yes, you agreed to everything hours ago. I never understand what takes so long, right? I understand sometimes there's credit issues. Sometimes there's insurance issues. There are things that we have to deal with. So they're time consumers. But for the most part, it should be you have somebody that wants to buy something. You have somebody that wants to solve the problem and sell something. And they just want to come together in the quickest, most efficient process possible. And that's why everybody comes back to me for the most part. I don't BS them. I don't put them through this long dealership selling process. It's their buying process, not my selling process. So however they want it to go, that's what we're going to do. We're going to let the customer dictate. If you think you're going to get control of a customer nowadays and dictate to them a sales process, they may buy the car from you, but that's addition. You're going to win by one, which means you're never going to win. I want to win by multiplication. I'm going to win by multiplication, which means that customer is going to have the most unbelievable red carpet experience from the time they walk in to the time they leave to the next day when I'm following up with them, to as we're friends on social media, to celebrating their big win with our banner and our red carpet and getting inside their circles. So it doesn't look chaotic. Some people, they're sitting here trying to do the math, right? They're like 150. He only worked 22 days. It's physically impossible. It's physically impossible if you keep doing things the way that they've been done for years. Well, COVID has accelerated the car business where it was going to be in 5 to 10 years anyway. The great thing about my processes, they were built for this. They were built for all the information up front, having the paperwork ready for the customer. No test drives if they don't want to take the test drive, right? Test drive on your own if that's what you feel like doing, right? I don't have to take control of the sales process. I can give everybody all the information they're looking for, still maintain the numbers that we need to gross wise, units wise, grow my business, have a customer experience that they rave about everywhere, which allows me to sell more cars in a shorter period of time. Why would you want to go anywhere else to buy a car, right? I equate it to, and you just say, Frank, stop talking if you want for a minute, but I equate it to, right, if you had an hour drive to work, right, and there was a lane that you can buy for, however, let's just call it $2 a day, and it's a direct lane and you are not stopping, and, I'm getting to work exactly on time every single day within 45 minutes, or you save that $2 and you get on the expressway with everybody else, which could end up ruining your attitude, your day, you're late. I'll pay the $2 every single time for the more efficient process, right? So people, they come to me for the more efficient process, in and out. It makes it so easy. I don't understand what takes so long. So yes, I can sell. I will sell. I'm going to sell. I'm going to serve 200 people by next year. That will happen.
But why? I love what you're saying. In working in the business for 20 years, and I've been on the consumer insight side of it. Like I've spent a lot of time working with consumers really and understanding like their pain points, and everything you say makes sense. But I have a question for you. Why as an industry do we still hear training that says take control of the customer? Like
why is an industry that the taxi cab company still have you call in to a call center and then have them find a taxi cab for you to maybe reroute it? Well, all the taxi cab companies had to do back in the day, 10 years ago, was to see into the future, right? To see what was happening in the present and come up with their own app. And they may have put Uber out of the business right from the beginning, right? But they didn't. Uber overtook them. Why do the cable companies still sell these $300 a month bundle packages that eventually nobody wants? You have to pay per cents, right? So you can sit here and ask that same question with almost any industry and see how it's evolved and just taken over how the way things have always been done. So if you're worried about the way things have always been done, then you're just going to continue to stay in that ways of things are always done and just be overtaken by me. So I love dealerships around here that continue to do things the way they've always been done, because they hear whispers down the lane. Man, I just spent 6 hours at the blah, blah dealership down the street. Oh man, I went to Frank and bought a car. I was in and out quicker than I can get a pizza on Friday night. No way. Well, they're coming to me next time, right? They listen. I love when the industry wants to stay like this, right? Because it helps me. It helps the salespeople I'm training stand out easy. That's the good thing. A lot of dealerships right now are reverting back to the way that they did things months ago, back before January, before February, which is even better for me, which is the reason that I'm growing. Okay, even more and quickly, is because I'm keeping the sales processes and refining them that the way they should have been done, they should be done at every dealership, but they're not. So I'm not going to die. with an industry that's going to do things the way that people don't want to do them. I'm not going to force my sales process on somebody.
You know, when we were talking earlier about like how you were able to create this pipeline, you mentioned speed, and I was paying really close attention to what you said, but it sounded like you were giving the consumer what they wanted, and because you gave the consumer what they wanted, they're becoming raving fans, and it's becoming exponentially bigger, as opposed to giving them what we force upon them, which may be a 5-hour process or a 6-hour process or something like that.
So how do you here's the question: how do you take time out of the process? I reverse engineered the whole sales process is what I did. I took it. So I went through, and every survey about a decade ago, I went through every single one of them, and not the good ones. I went through the ones with the good comments on there that had comments. They still gave me a perfect survey, but said, I wish that, the two main things that stuck out to me were time to complete the transaction and not giving all the information up front as far as pricing, warranties, had to make a decision, right? So the biggest rebuttal I'd always get is I have to think about it, right? And there's ways to get over the whole I have to think about it thing. Really what that means is they want to do more research because either they don't trust or they want to verify what the information that you're giving them is true and correct, right? So there's a lot of third-party sites, TrueCar, that you can go through to verify. There's a lot of sites out there, but to me, I don't want anybody to have to think about it here. So how do I do that? Well, I just reverse the whole sales process. I give everybody all the information up front before they come in so they can think about it there. So when they come in here, we can make an educated decision now that I'm the person you want to do business with, right? This is the dealership where you want to purchase your vehicle. And it makes it so much easier. But you'll have these old school sales managers, you'll have these old school sales people that tell you you have to take control. You got to get them in. You can't give them numbers. No problem. Call me, 484-368-9000. I will outsell your whole dealership. If I'm not doing it now, it will happen very, very soon. So if you're not willing to evolve, you will die eventually, a slow, slow death. And the unfortunate part is a lot of ownerships and a lot of manufacturers will just keep throwing money at the old way of doing business, and they have deep, deep pockets. So unfortunately, it will stay that way for a lot of the industry. But the people that are working with me, that are training, they know that's not the right way to do it, because most of them are having unbelievable success right now. And it's just tweaking a few things. It isn't, you have to become me, right? You don't have to have this snazzy old Jeffrey Bean, tie on. You don't have to have, the nice part in the hair, which is natural. I do not cut my
You're very intimidating, Frank. I must say, you're such a nice guy, but you showed up.
So many people say that to me.
You're showing out on this interview. Me and Matt came with our t-shirts and our black, and you came with the full suit on.
Oh, man.
Hey, I got to ask on a question, man. Do your socks match your tie right now? Tell the truth.
I'm done if they do. I'm done. They better not be pink. Okay.
Of course they do. Come on, man. You need to be put together all over the place,
Cancer awareness.
You got to have the matching watch. It's got to flow. It's got to flow. You got to feel good, man. When you feel good, people feel that, right? When you have energy and enthusiasm,
yes,
people feel that, right? And a lot of times people will never remember what you said to them, okay? They'll never remember, what they looked at, but they will remember how you made them feel, right? Yeah. So if you made them feel like this was like a great experience for them, and, instead of just, oh, you're buying a Honda, I give you the Bentley experience, like you feel that, you remember that, right? I mean, just think about it in your own life. Like, you went shopping somewhere. I go to Nordstrom's to go shopping because my guy makes me feel unbelievable when I go there, right? He doesn't just have one jacket. He gets 6 of them. He lays them all out for me, right? Try on every single one of them. We have a tailor come in. No, that one's not good for your build, right? They build me up. They get the ties. They go the extra mile. I can go to Macy's and spend a little bit less and probably get some of the same stuff with none of the service, but I remember how they make me feel. So I don't mind paying them a little bit extra to go see them because they make me feel good when I'm there. So that's the same thing we should be doing as in any business. Doesn't matter if you're selling smoothies down the street, right, at the juice bar, or you're selling houses, or you're selling cars. You're selling yourself all day. You're selling your energy. You're selling your enthusiasm to make people feel comfortable, not uncomfortable, make them feel comfortable that they're with you, right? So if you look good, if you dress nice, you feel good, you feel nice. That comes off to people.
Where does your confidence come from? Because you just exude confidence. Like, and I wonder, was there ever a point in your career where you weren't as confident, or did something like snap for you where it just kicked in and you're like, okay, I'm confident? Where did this come from?
From a very young age. So my mom sold Avon when we were younger. My dad got laid off from Golf Oil when we were kids, and he took on like 3 or 4 jobs. You know, he was the pizza man. He owned his little carpet business. Like, he did a lot of things. And my mom, when I was home with her, would do Avon basically to the community, right? Door to door. And I would go with her, and it wasn't like, hey, the Avon ladies here, right? My mom would actually like get invited in their house. Like, we'd sit there and have tea and like cookies, and like, you know, by like the 10th house, I'm like all cookied and teed out, you know what I mean? But she went in and, you know, confidently build a relationship with every one of the neighbors, you know, to become, you know, the Avon rep in the area. So, you know, as a young age, as I think back, you know, this was where I kind of got like some of my, you know, relationship skills. And then your confidence comes from your habits, right? So your habits every single day, what you do every single day, by you getting really good at it, by you putting in, you know, figuring out what your bad habits are and replacing them with a good habit. You can't just get rid of a bad habit. It needs to be replaced with something. So, you know, my good habits are, you know, showing up well groomed, learning to talk into a camera, you know, look right at the camera and talk into the camera. You know, it comes from repetition. It comes from putting in good habits every single day, you know, and that's it. You know, it's just, you know, it's nothing that you're born with. You can develop a confidence, you know, and it just becomes from being, you know, knowledgeable in your product, being confident in yourself, feeling good, making other people feel good, being involved in the community, being involved in your dealership, helping people, serving the community is what gives you confidence, right? It's not this like little switch that you turn off and on, right? It's not the Wizard of Oz where you find the courage, right? You know, it's built over time. By doing all these little things that become habits in your life.
I really like you, Frank. I mean, I liked you before the show started.
Because you like me, and I like you guys. You guys are awesome.
I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to ask you about something that's really super, kind of, it touches on what you have meant, but I want to put a point on it. Do you see any areas of opportunity, you know, in the current way that we sell cars, that we can get better in store? I mean, just like if you could make a broad statement, how can we get better in store in our current environment?
I mean, you need to do exactly what I just said. Like, you need to make it the customer's process, right? So I start off every conversation basically the same way, right? Some people say, hey, are you here for a new car or used car? You know, what brings you to the dealership? Well, what we don't do is explain to the consumer what we actually do, right? So, you know, Matt, my job today is to be 100% transparent with you, give you all the information that you're looking for. You know, it's not my sales process. This is your buying process. So however you want it to go, you can dictate that to me, so that this way we can make an educated decision that this is where you want to do business. Would that be fair enough? And most people are like, yeah, that's great. You know, so just be right up front with everybody. Tell them what your job is, right? As I see a lot of younger salespeople, even a lot of older salespeople. I mean, somebody walks into the dealership and we immediately just sit them down on a computer, right? And try to get their wants and their needs and all this stuff. And I get that. You have to figure out what they want and need, but they've already spent so much time looking at whatever car they want, on their computer, on their iPad, on their phone at night. Like, the last thing I want to do is sit down and look at a car in the computer again, right? I want somebody to be able to get my emotions going, right? So, you know, show me a car. And then you'll have that A-type personality. You'll have me. I know what I want already, right? I just want to write the check and get out of there. I'm going to allow you to do your job. I'm not going to be ignorant about it. But listen, I don't need the whole dog and pony show. The reason I don't go to the mall anymore is because I don't want to waste the time driving to the mall, looking at something, too many different options, a salesperson trying to show me, you know, 30 pairs of sneakers when I just see the one pair of sneakers online that I want. and I just click buy now, and Amazon's dropping it off tomorrow, right? So I don't need to go into store to complicate things. And a lot of times we complicate things by giving people too many options and talking too much, right? We talk to respond to people. Well, you shouldn't do that. You should talk to understand, right? What they're actually trying to say. So I don't ever really listen to a customer a lot of times. Like, I don't listen to what you're saying, but I understand what you're trying to tell me. Makes a big difference, in the speed of the sales process and their showroom experience. Bottom line, that's what it really comes down to, right? You can give all the information in the world out up front, and then they come into the showroom and it's a 5-hour process still. You lost. You lost. You're never going to multiply that sale. You're going to be living off the internet leads for the rest of your life. You're going to be living off walking customers. That's even a thing anymore. Onto a lot. You know what I mean? So you're never going to be average. You're never going to be more than average. You're never going to grow your business.
Frank, do you have freedom, I'm guessing, at your store to kind of implement your own process? I'm guessing, the entire store isn't necessarily doing what you're doing.
And they shouldn't be. So, and that's the thing, everything that I teach, I've grown my business through every single level, right? The 30s, the 40s, all the way up to, 150 plus cars. So I know what it takes to succeed at every single level, right? And the day that I sat down and kind of wrote out my plan to get to 100, it was totally wrong. Like 90% of it was absolutely wrong, because you never know what you need to do until you get through those levels and then find out, great, I need this obstacle removed. This is what I need to actually put in my process. I thought I was going to be taking it out, but I'm not. So there's a lot of things that I do every single day that nobody's ever done before, right? There's maybe a handful, a dozen, salespeople in the whole industry that ever reached 100, let alone 100 consistently plus every single month, right? So what I do and the freedoms that I'm allowed, I earned, okay? Just because a salesperson has a big month, right, and they have their ego that says, I have it all figured out now, right, doesn't mean that they should be able to do the things that I do every single day on a basis. You need to earn that respect and that trust from your management, from your upper management, all the way up to ownership sometimes, right? Depending on how involved they are at the dealership. So, should people not have to be managed like I'm not managed much? No, not at all. You need to be able to grow, right? And grow in the right way. So hopefully you have a progressive manager who sees, the opportunity. One of the best things that's happened to me now with, my name being out there all the time, and, the training thing that I'm doing myself, and then the pinnacle, the elite salespeople that we're going to take on with the Pinnacle Society, the salespeople selling 30 plus cars a month.
Yeah, we want to jump into that next.
Is the sales managers, not just the salespeople, right? So I seen it would actually happen at Hustle and Grind, right? I had all these salespeople coming up to me. They wanted to take pictures with me. Like, it was kind of weird. It was awkward. But the number one sentiment was, listen, our dealership doesn't provide training, right? Or they're providing training that doesn't seem relevant to us. Can you help us? And at that point, I didn't have a way to help them, right? Because, can I get 10 minutes of your time? Well, I get 10 minutes to death. Right. So I created this whole, Frank's Elite to be able to help, to be able to train, to be able to bring up, to be able to show them the processes. I thought it was going to be all salespeople. I actually have managers that swallow their ego or don't have an ego, just want to grow and learn to say, listen, I haven't sold in the past 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I want our salespeople to be able to learn the processes, and I want to learn along with them. Can I become part of this group? And I'm like, man, okay, yeah, absolutely, right? So to me, they're the managers that you want managing your salespeople right now until they do grow through the levels that we have a conversation. Hey, what speed bumps can we pull out of Matt's process now? What don't I have to manage anymore, right? It's like you go to high school. Once you become a senior, right, they kind of take everything off, right? It's kind of you're on your own type thing. You have a lot of freedoms that you didn't have as a freshman, a sophomore, even a junior, right, towards your second semester of being a senior at school. So no, to answer your question shortly, no, they should not be allowed to just do everything that I do, but there is things that they need to institute in their processes right now that will change their game immediately.
Well, you touched on your training program. So I want to jump into that, starting with Frank's Elite.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it about? I have the website up,
Yep.
What's involved in your training program?
So in my training program, I am teaching everything it takes to be an elite salesperson. So to get yourself, there's a lot of salespeople out there that have the magic word, of potential, but they just don't know how to get through those levels, right? They're stuck at the 18 car a month and they can't get past the 20 car a month and they just don't know what to do. They're working really hard, but they're not working smart. And listen, I've failed a lot at this, right? I just, God didn't, bless me with being one of the best, salesmen in the world. I mean, I've failed a lot more than I've succeeded. You just don't see those failures, but I've learned from them, figured out how to refine them, how to reverse engineer them to be able to take a salesperson that's been in the business 1 year. Okay. A young woman, Tracy, been in the business 1 year. She was with me for a year. She's now the #1 salesperson at her dealership. When, I think it was last month or the month before, 39 and a half cars. She's averaging, mostly generated her own leads, some internet leads, but mostly generating her own leads, where there's salespeople in the business for a lifetime that will never get there, right? So I know what it takes to get through every single level. So at Frank's Elite, we're taking every single salesperson that knows there's another level. They just don't know how to get to it, or that wants to add some more tools to their arsenal, right? It's not a get rich quick scheme. You don't automatically go and double your sales. You have to grow, right? You got to take this and put it into your processes that become habits that start to keep growing and growing in the community. So I teach the marketing. I teach, sales and processes and everything it takes every single day. Facebook Lives, things you should be doing in the community. Prospecting is a big thing that a lot of salespeople don't do, proactively prospecting. And that's what we teach at Frank's Elite.
Wow. So is it one-on-one coaching, or is it also just?
Yeah, you get both. So every Tuesday night, we have a meeting at 9:30 Eastern. I do a live Zoom meeting. We have a closed group of sales professionals. I think we're up to close to 200 salespeople in there right now that I'm training, that we get to bounce ideas off of, and marketing and branding and processes and prospecting and everything you could possibly imagine to be able to grow your business, because that's what it is. It's your business, to be able to grow your business. And then, the pinnacle salespeople, that have been selling and averaging over 30 cars a month for at least a 90-day period, or in the 6-figure income, working at some of the higher end stores that, 30 car a month is like the tops of a Ferrari or a Porsche dealer. They're the ones that we're taking into the Pinnacle group, the Pinnacle Society, with me, Ali Reed. Everybody knows Ali, I hope, right? And the world famous Jonathan Dawson, right? We kind of formed a community of high achievers, and our slogan is, it's no longer has to be lonely at the top, right? It doesn't have to be lonely at the top, because a lot of times what happens to top performers is they get left alone. Right? The people that are selling 40 cars a month, 30 some cars a month, management says, yo, hands off. We don't have to train them. They got it all figured out. Well, the problem is the mindset then of that salesperson is that is the top. They're at the top. Where's the growth come from? If you're not growing, you're dying. I don't want to die. I need to grow. That's why I'm telling you, I'm getting to 200 cars a month, and people's head are spinning or saying, man, this guy's full of it. I'm not, right? I'm going to get there. I have a plan. I have a process. I have a purpose to get there. And the same thing with a lot of salespeople, they either think they have it figured out, and then they realize they can't grow any further, right? Because everybody's hands off, because not many of the sales managers or many of the trainers that are out there right now have ever got past that level, right? When I was, the best thing that I ever did was I actually never really had a sales trainer when I was growing. I figured it out the really, really, really hard way of trial and error myself. And I'm talking about 14, 15, 16-hour days of marketing, branding, sales processes, word tracks back in the day that I shouldn't be using anymore. A lot of stuff that wasted a lot of time. But what I didn't do was buy into a lot of these sales trainers out there telling me that 30 cars was the pinnacle of car sales, because what would have happened, I probably would have believed them. And I did for a certain point. When I was at like 50 some cars a month, I still remember I had a finance manager. He kind of nicknamed me Fitty. It was when 50 Cent was real big back then, right? He's like, called me Fitty. So a lot of people kept calling me Fitty. And I was like, oh, it's kind of a cool nickname. And then it really started to aggravate me. I'd have bank reps come in talking about, man, you're crushing it. I'd have, people calling me Fitty. I had people, man, you're the guy selling all the cars. I started believing my own press clippings. I started believing that I was at the top of the mountain. And a lot of times when we start hearing these attaboys and we start listening to everybody around us because we're doing better than them, or when what their perception on success is, you get lulled into that comfortability. I never want to be comfortable, right? If I'm comfortable, I'm just dying. I'm not growing. So the best thing I did is I stopped listening to everybody. I stopped listening to them. I knew I was destined for something greater. I knew it. I knew I can get to 100 cars a month. And then I knew I can get to 150 cars a month. Now I know I can get to 200 cars a month. And simultaneously train an industry to do the same thing, of like-minded salespeople that know there's another level. They just need the blueprint and the roadmap to get there. And that's what we're supplying them. We're not supplying them with fluff. We're not supplying them with word tracks. We're not supplying them with something that I read out of a book and I'm regurgitating. This is stuff that not only have I done, I'm doing, right? So that's why me and Ali did this. There's not any other sales people out there right now that are still doing sales, especially at this level, and are willing to put aside their time, their energy, and put the effort in to be able to lift the whole industry. And that's where we came up with the Pinnacle Society, because we want to work with the best of the best, the ones that know that they're already good at sales. You're already a good salesperson. You just need the blueprint of the marketing, the prospecting, the methodology, how to get to the next level, how to build your confidence, right? The mindset. We're going to give it to you all. We're giving you everything because we're doing it now.
And you said this is for the top. These are the guys and gals who are already doing pretty well. Like, what was the minimum baseline to getting into this Pinnacle Society?
It's 25 cars a month right now, average. Right, you can't just sell 25 cars. So rolling average, at least 90 days of 25 cars a month, or depending on what type of store you're in, that you're already making six figures. Pinnacle Society is that. And then me, Ali, and Jonathan, we all have some training stuff that we do with individual salespeople. My Frank's Elite, Jonathan Psychology, Ali, I forget the name of his group. Don't kill me, Ali. But just so that other salespeople can eventually take that information that we're giving out, to them, that they need it at the lower point of their sales career to be able to graduate to the Pinnacle Society.
Got it. Pinnacle Society is not for somebody who's been in the market or been in the store for a month and a half, right? This is earn your way in.
You need to earn your way in. This is a elite group of salespeople. Yes, you need to have the credentials to be able to be accepted. And that's not because we want to keep anybody out. That's just because, we know at certain levels, there's certain things, certain mindsets, certain processes that you need to understand, and you can't understand them until you've already been to those levels, right? So that's why we put the tops on that, and that's what the Pinnacle Society is all about.
On a personal level, I sold for a long time. When I hit 30 the first time, I was like, you ain't telling me nothing. I can't get no better. Maybe I'll get to 35, maybe 37, maybe, right? Because I hadn't seen it. The train, I was doing the whole, I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid. I got the most. I ain't got to get no better. So hearing you say that, hearing your story just really resonates. And I know it's not with me. I'm sure there's other people out there who are 30, 35 who just had never considered getting to 50, 80, 100, 120. So I'm excited to hear that you could have put a place together for these people.
No, definitely. You got some fans definitely giving shout outs. I think it was Jay and Omar said they're part of the group. I think Frank's Elite, and one of them is part of the Pinnacle Society as well. So they're saying it's been great. It's hashtag it's no longer lonely at the top, says Jay.
We're no longer lonely. We are building an industry up of elite salespeople to come all the way to the top, and we're going to take them there. We're going to.
Hey, I want to do one more question, and then we're going to wrap. Travis asks, how many times per year do you call the clients that have bought from you? Do you text, email? Do you send handwritten cards? Like, how do you stay in touch?
Well, if you're doing things the way that I'm teaching you how to do them, you don't need to be able to have to call a customer every couple months or, every year. There's constant contact you can have through social media, through text messaging, but the phone call is not dead. Email is not dead. Picking up the phone and having a conversation with somebody still, is paramount. You need to be able to do that, especially depending on which level you're at. And this is another thing, like this, I'm saying, like, depending on what level you're at, there's different ways that you need to stay in contact with your customer base, right? At some levels, it's all phone calls. Some levels, it's email and text message. Some level, it's just social media to be able to keep growing and making your process efficient. So that's a lot of the stuff that we teach inside of our group.
Okay, good. Well, we have to wrap. We could talk to you for another couple hours if we wanted to, but
I can free up my schedule. I'm good. I could talk about my favorite subject all day.
Exactly. Well, I want to leave everybody your sites just because I think that's the next step is you need to check out frankselite.com, find out about Frank's program. How do you get the individual coaching, the group training, all of that to learn all of these, not only the basic, but the advanced skills that he talked about. And then I do want to also leave everybody with the Pinnacle Society website as well. So the pinnaclesociety.com. If you are at the highest levels of your career, if you've sold, more than most in your stores, you want to check that out as well. And you can learn from not only Frank, but 3 industry veterans in Ollie Rita and Jonathan Dawson as well. So Frank, thank you so much. Matt, do you have any final words?
Yeah, I think you're fantastic, Frank. And that's not just because I like you, but I'm saying this sincerely, that there are a segment of people who don't want to become managers, who don't necessarily need to become owners. And to create a lane for these people to just be the best that they can be at what they desire to be, which is a seller.
Yes.
I think it's very, very valuable. Very, very valuable.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Frank, so much. And we'll be talking to you soon. We really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man.
I'm humbled to be on here. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Share this out, all right? Share it out for us.
Yes, absolutely. And we just want everyone to know that this will be posted on our TrueCar dealer blog. If you miss this or you want to share it with others that aren't necessarily on our Facebook page, we'll be sharing this out. But you can also read an article. We'll be highlighting some of the tips that came out of this article on TrueCar.com/dealer blog. And if you're interested in TrueCar, please go to TrueCar.com/dealer. We obviously have programs that offer upfront information like Frank was talking about, but we also offer complimentary payments and trade tools for dealers now as part of our program. Matt, what were your learnings from this interview?
I'm glad I got 2. These are my 2 favorite.
Yes.
This is your buying process, not my selling process, right? And you give the consumer what they want, and then it works out well for you. I love that. But the one that struck me the hardest was when Frank said that he was buying in, he was reading his own stat lines, or he was buying into that own thing, right? That's a killer. When we first put this together, okay, there's a guy in the world who sells 100 cars a month, Ollie Rita. Okay, there's one. Okay, fine, right? Frank Granedy, there's another one. Wait a minute. I happen to have known a third. It's actually possible. Yeah. You just need to learn how to do it, and you have to have a process and somebody to train you to how to do that. There are thousands of salespeople out there who don't know this, or who haven't felt this. So my takeaway was how he just kept bursting through all of those levels and saying, I want more, because it's out there. So that really, really affected me. It doesn't even have to be car sales. It could be for any aspect of your life.
Yeah, I think that stood out for me too. Like, don't believe your own press clippings. And I think, when he talked about being known as a 50 cents, guy at the store, and even getting a label and getting, they were branding him, and it wasn't even half of what he's doing today. So I think oftentimes we could be branded as superstars, or we could be telling ourselves that, or the people we're surrounding ourselves are lowering the bar because they don't realize what we're actually capable of. So I think that's just a learning in general of success, that you got to continue to raise the bar. The other second thing that stood out for me that I don't know if everybody caught is he talked about his plan. He said, I created a plan for 100 cars. Now his plan wasn't exactly correct, but he created a plan. And I think everybody sometimes focuses on tactics or transactions versus a plan and a strategy.
Guilty.
Yeah. And so you got to have in order to sell that many cars, that's a system. He has a system in place.
Yeah, that's not just the salesmanship. There's more than that. Yeah,
there's more than that, and that's a strategy. So I think that was pretty critical. So thank you everyone for joining us, sticking around. Check this out. We'll be sharing this and some tidbits from this interview on our blog and on social. Thank you so much for spending your Tuesday with us, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for our next Industry Insider.